It's been snowing all week, as you can probably tell if you live in Britain and look out of any window in the country. And everybody's going crazy over it. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, some countries like Russia get so much snow that we would just panic and cringe and freeze to death at the thought of. And the news is making a really big deal of it, and for God's sake, it's just cold rain. And I just reckon it's all going a step too far. Like, all the planes and trains and buses that are being cancelled, are you really telling me that we haven't worked out, after all this time, how to keep public transport running when it gets cold? That, and this is actually what the news will show in a few years' time. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The functionality of Britain has reached an all-time low after what has been described as a blanket of white death covering the country. The country's population was left mystified and afraid at the sight of snow descending from the sky. Although many parts of the world deal with snow on an almost daily basis, the country was unable to cope at the sight. The public have abandoned all plans of attending school, going to work, and even leaving the house, in fear of mysterious ice crystals falling and settling around them. Public transport was the first victim to the snowfall. Passengers of trains, buses and planes who had braved the snow, proving that snow on its own is not fatal, were left bewildered as their journeys were cancelled or heavily delayed. Statements varied from, "It was the wrong kind of snow," to, "We were unaware that snow would be slippery," after a plane skidded off the runway at Heathrow Airport. Around the country, some Britons were determined and curious enough to perform experiments with the snow. Many spent hours building replicas of themselves, and then turned towards thuggish acts of violence, throwing balls of compressed snow at each other, claiming that it was fun. Prime Minister Robert Pattinson took a moment to address the population, criticising all those who have dropped their regular routine, saying, "You wonder why the migrants are taking all of your jobs. At least they turn up to work." Up next would be the weather, but unfortunately our weatherman has been snowed in after 2 inches of snow fell outside of his home. Until next time, that's the news. And, in all fairness, it's not far off. I mean, it's like, oh no, an inch of snow in Birmingham! Close everything! Now, one of these days, Britain is just going to, close for the winter. We'll all finish work and school in October, in case it gets too cold. And then we'll all go back in mid-April, thinking to ourselves, God, aren't we lucky that we closed for the winter?